JB. I hope you're all good this evening. Much like INEOS, I have lied. I said I wasn't going to be back tonight, but I am back tonight. Sorry about that. It wasn't a lie. I did plan to be back, but I didn't know if I was going to be back. But yes, I did lie. Technically, it was a lie, just like INEOS and the Glazers. I lie, I spin. That is what they've done tonight. This has been confirmed by Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt. Iraola is out of the running for the job. Michael Carrick, as we've been saying on this channel for quite some time now, I got told this weeks ago. I've known this for quite some time. I've been beating this drum on the channel, but I just wanted to go through how disgusting INEOS are. How they just lie. They just absolutely lie. They just lie. And we're going to go through that tonight. Nicaru said, now that is a classic top. Looks hella good. Thank you, man. Nicaru is in the house. Absolute legend as well. I love this top. This is my favourite top. I do need to get some more. I've been a little bit slack on it as well. Barcelona and Barcelona fans wanting to pay £16 million for Marcus Rashford. Deluded. Delusional fans. Carlos Baleba as well. Look, again, with this announcement, INEOS, and again, we've been talking about Tonali today, Anderson, all of these players. Baleba looks like the tier one. Baleba, we've been talking about this as well, that Baleba is going to be that guy. Valverde as well. Oh, Valverde, look, we'll talk about that. I know some people, want to talk about that. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we're going to get into it tonight. This is your late show tonight. I've come on early because I just think sometimes it is nice to do early. So I don't have to then go to bed at like 1:30 in the morning. £16 million for Rashford. Barcelona, I think they're buying players from the Scottish League. Look, let's start off with that. So Marcus Rashford, as we know, scored, and I think was probably one of the best players in El Clasico. Scored a worldie, played extremely well. Now, look, he's gone and won a league title. He's gone and won a cup. Well done to him. Now, I know Marcus Rashford wants to stay there, but Barcelona wanting to pay 16 million quid for Marcus Rashford, I think is an absolute insult, not only to United, but also to Rashford as well, and also to his fans. Like, there was an interview or two that was done, and the Barcelona fans are believing what their club are saying about this player, that Rashford is only worth 16 to 17 million pounds. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I don't like the way that Barcelona do their business. I don't. Look, there probably is a world whereby I think if Barcelona would be fair, then I would have said you could do a deal, but valuing him at £16 million is just absolutely ridiculous. As Dan says, so Jacobs, they're interviewing over managers, cannot believe a word they say. They're not, and look, I on this channel, people don't understand that I have somebody who's very, very good and have told me stuff. Now, if you've not watched this channel before, I get told stuff and I bring it into you guys and I tell you this stuff, and most of the time it comes true. I was told 2 months ago that no matter what gets told, no matter what David Ornstein says, no matter what Fabrizio says, United have got no intention of interviewing other coaches. Michael Carrick is going to get the job. This is because of cost. Look, it is all there. I've done many videos on it, most streams. I'll tell you this, I got told this weeks and weeks ago. And it's pretty much been confirmed. I've been absolutely adamant on the subject of this. It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But look, we will get back to the Rashford stuff. Look, this is your show tonight. Do you think £16 million for Rashford is a ridiculous deal? Because I think it is. I think it's an absolute farce. We don't want Rashy, but he's worth at least 26. I have set 40 to 45 million on Marcus Rashford. Considering Garnacho went for 40, Rashford for 16 is madness. If we didn't have that buy clause, we could get 50 for him. We can buy a cheap player for 16 million. Now look, it doesn't matter. We've got that clause in his contract. Barcelona do not look. It all comes down to this: Barcelona do not want to pay it. Only this week, listen, but interesting to look. I've been saying on this channel, if you go back when Amorim got sacked, I literally told this channel on the night before he got sacked, watch tomorrow morning, he's going to get sacked. I literally got told immediately after the game, watch him, he's going to get sacked. Fletcher will. I've been told. I got told about the window. I got told that we're not going to sign any players. Look, we've been. Look, I've been saying this on this channel for quite some time. Michael Carrick was always getting the job. Rashford done that one. We ain't paying that much for Rashford. Oh look, you don't pay him, you don't get him. Look, I've got no problem. I've got no problem with people offering a price for a player. It's not the fans' fault. And if the club don't want to pay it, look, I'm not saying anything bad against the Barcelona fans. I'm not saying anything bad against the club. If you value a player at a certain price and you don't want to pay it, that's up to you. But then you don't get the player. So Rashford, I think, is going to leave now. Look, I'm not. I don't like the way that Barcelona do their business. I don't. However, I admire their aggressive approach in terms of, look, Rashford wants to stay there. If it was 22 million, 23 million, then maybe you could argue. But coming down to 16 million. So look, Rashford on the basis of that is going to come back. And Barcelona, they've obviously said it because they don't want to. They don't want to buy the player. So Rashford is going to come back. He's not going to come back in terms of he's going to come back into this team, and he's going to come back and he will be sold. So I've got no concerns about that at all. Been told lately that you're the second biggest team in Manchester and third best in England, behind 6 European champions. I love the banter. Look, and if this is your first time here, get into this community, get into the chat. Best community on this platform, hands down. We don't mind the banter. Get on with the banter. Obviously, respect the community, respect me, respect yourselves. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes out. We don't mind. We don't mind the banter. And look, I'm a dictator of the chat. I read out your views and opinions. I don't think my views and opinions are better than yours. It's just that a viewer, an opinion, and it's just the same as yours. Rashi would want the Champions League. Yeah, I think he's going to get a club. He's going to get a club. Omar says that Rashford could be a great bench player. I don't think he's an issue. Just give him a wage cut, and that's it. Omar, we can't do that. We can't cut his wage. We can't cut his wages, mate. If he comes back, Rashford's on 300 and something K. We can't just cut his wages. That's not, Omar, how a contract works. He's not going to be happy sat on the bench. If, and I think in the unlikelihood that Rashford does come back, and it is a small percentage that he comes back, it is not going to end well. And it would be an absolute disaster. But after this Iraola thing today, look, this club lies. This club lies. This club lies, cheats and steals. And we're going to see another example of it. So whether Rashford comes back or not, and I'm talking about permanently, I don't think he will. I think he's going to go. We cannot cut his wage. We can't do it. Rashford has become a player. Seriously, United treated Rashford like crap. I disagree with you. Disagree completely. And if you're talking about by treating a player like crap, you give him over 300k, you give him a contract. Did United force him to go to Ireland, to go on the booze, to go to clubs? No. Did United, what exactly did United do to treat him really badly? Disagree with you. Disagree with you completely. If anything, Marcus Rashford behaved in a way that wasn't correct. So if you can tell me how United have treated him in a bad way, I would love to know. I would love to know. I'd love to know. I love him really, but we really need a striker and a defender more. He will never play for United again. No, because we don't want him, we don't want him. So as much as Rashford doesn't want to come back, we don't want him back. Jamie Vargas is in the house. Legend, of course. Hello, JB. Sell Rashford for 65 million. I wish. Did you just publicly disclose as a Barcelona's fan? Was nice knowing you. This ends up being your last live. Exactly. We need 5 new players. Rashi is part of our history. Time to move on. Give Carrick 3 years and the players he needs to succeed. We're going to get on to that as well, Jamie. It's not my first time a Liverpool fan. I've had a good fun in other chats. Boot me out if you like. No, add. We don't add. We don't do it, mate. Add. You're entitled to your opinion. Just because I disagree with your opinion, add. I don't think you're being rude. I think you've got an opinion. I encourage your opinion. Just because you're a Liverpool fan, look, I don't think anything that you've said is offensive or rude. You've just got an opinion, but I'm allowed to retort to that opinion, and you're allowed to come back to me on my opinion. So look, you've done nothing wrong. As long as you're not rude, there is no issue at all. So look, you don't need. You certainly will not get booted out of here for having an opinion, my friend. What do you think that they'll do player-wise this summer? What do I think they'll do? After the update tonight, what do I think they'll do? I think they're going to do. I think they'll do Edison, Baleba. I think they'll do those two. They'll possibly do Matthias Fernandez as well. I think they'll look to get a wing back, a fullback. I think they'll look to do a Truffet, or they'll look to do some sort of reasonably priced left back or a right back, probably the left back. I don't think they'll touch centre back, and I think they'll look for a striker, and I think Ramos of PSG fits that. I think what fans have to realise and understand about this window, it is not going to be the window that they think it's going to be. United owe £268 million in transfer fees that haven't been paid and have got to be paid. This is not going to be the 400. This is not going to be 300. This is going to be about 200 to 250 million pound window, which sounds like a lot. In terms of amortization, it's probably going to be about probably 70 million to 100. It's not going to be the window that people think it is. Gid says, hello. I would like to see Rashi back at Villa if they want to sign him. United fans are treated like crap because someone is earning big does not allow people to crap all over the guy. The rhetoric behind him was charged. I disagree. Marcus Rashford, look, I've got nothing bad to say about him. Look, the guy left, right? And I've said on this channel many times, I respect, of all the players, of all the bomb squad that left, I respected him because he went out and got the move. Like, he didn't just sit around on his butt. He went and got the move. And I wish him luck. I wished him luck. I wish Rashford success. I want him to go and do, and succeed. And I think, to a relative part, he's done that. It's not his fault that Barcelona are now trying to renege on the deal that they did because they don't want to pay the money. That isn't his fault. I don't blame him for that. But just because I don't want Rashford back doesn't mean I've got any ill will to Rashford. The time has been and gone. Rashford's time has been and gone. How many players, like how many players of Rashford's stature go out on loan, come back, and then get integrated into their club? There's probably none or not many at all. That, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about when they're peak. When they're peak and they go on loan and then they come back. Rashford is going to go. There's no ill will here from me. Nothing against the guy. I think it's his time to go. Omar says, I mean, he's not going to be either way since nobody's going to offer 30 for him. I think you should just negotiate, and I think he's going to agree for a wage cut. Omar, he's not going to, mate. He's not going to. Look, if Rashford comes back, he holds all of the power. Omar, tell me, and again, this is not me, this is not me coming back at you. You tell me this, right? If you're Marcus Rashford, right, and as you said there, no one's going to offer you the money, right? Marcus Rashford comes back, 2 years left on his contract. What does he need to negotiate? There's nothing for him. He may want to leave, but what does he need to negotiate? Because he can sit on his contract. If we offer him to Burnley, he's not going to leave us for Burnley. Like, he's not going to stay and negotiate a wage cut. I wouldn't. Like, neither should you. Like, as much as you could love playing for a club. If you don't get on, it's not Rashford's fault that he's got a contract. If I was Rashford, and again, I would sit on that contract. So he's not going to do that, mate. He's not going to do that. You're back, says the man in off. Yeah, I'm back. Just like the Glazers, I lied. I am back. Football is the beautiful game that brings all of us together. Exactly. Didn't think the missus was going to let you back on. No. So if you caught the end of the stream, the missus had to go and get her nails done. So yeah. So I had to go and watch the little one. So so James says, who would be the top of your three managers for your United job, and throw in a curveball in there as well at the end? I don't need to because Michael Carrick is going to be the manager. If I don't know if he's free or not, but I think Emery. I like Emery. I think Emery was going to leave. I don't think he's going to sign another contract, so I would go for Emery. Iraola as well, Glasner, but it's not going to be any of those. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who would be my top choice for free. It doesn't matter who would be my elite choice, because it's Michael Carrick. And we're going to get into that next as well. I'm going to read out what was said. It is disgraceful. Ad says, I'll give you 3 reasons. Okay, cool. Ad is giving us some reasons. Rashford carried the burden after the brutal recruitment era. He was made the scapegoat, humiliated after breaking his confidence. And look, Ad, it's interesting listening to rival fans to sit outside the club. Now, number one, he didn't carry the burden. There's no burden for him to carry. Marcus Rashford didn't carry the burden at all. We bought Jadon Sancho. My counter arguments for those ad would be, well, Rashford wasn't bought for any sort of cash, so there was no financial on him. Jadon Sancho got bought for a lot of money. Anthony got bought for a lot of money. I would say the burden was on those sorts of players. As Sancho proved, Rashford didn't carry the burden because Rashford didn't. There was no burden for him to carry. Rashford's issue was he fluctuated up and down. Rashford's issue was that his ego got in his way. Nobody forced him to go to Ireland and go out to the clubs and like have a drink. You know, it wasn't his fault that we gave him a massive contract. I disagree with the burden. What burden? What burden? What playing for this club? The burden of being adored by fans. Made the scapegoat. Made the scapegoat by who? Nobody blamed him. Rashford left because he wanted to leave. Nobody blamed Rashford for this mess. People blame the Glazers and INEOS. People blamed Marcus Rashford for Marcus Rashford's own actions. People blamed him for his own actions and what he did. People blamed him for the goals he didn't score. So people didn't. You're not a scapegoat because people criticize you. I get criticized on here every single day. I get, the things you do. He wasn't the scapegoat at all. And humiliated by who? Marcus Rashford humiliated himself. What? Because he wasn't played. Because the coach didn't like how he behaved on the pitch because of the way that he trained. Like, that's not humiliation. That is, if you don't like it and you're not up to the job, then you've got to leave. So look, I would argue that there were 4 or 5 worse players. So look, you are entitled, add to your view. I think they are valid opinions, and if that's what you think, I'm not here to argue that. I just think it's an interesting opinion. We won at least 2 plays before the start of pre-season. Guys, please like and subscribe to this community. Be respectful or you get the ban hammer. Exactly. Ramos would be useless, says Sully. United lied. I don't know. United lie. We're going to get into that, my friend. Nick always craved the win. Chris says, Rashi going to start left wing for England. Has really improved his game. Going to Barcelona. And look, I've got this channel has got, I've actually always supported the Rashford move to Barcelona. I've got nothing but praise for the move. Imagine you've got a player that struggled here with the ego and then he's gone to, and look, he was criticised there for quite some time. And then he got his head down and he's become a good player again. I wish him luck in his career. I do. 2 of our bomb squad won league titles: Rashi at Barca and McTominay at Napoli. I'll always respect Rashford. He's done a lot for us, and I wish him all the best. Exactly. Couple of guys says it's the same as Rashford not wanting to come back. It doesn't mean he hates the club. Exactly. And this is what I really wanted to push. I'm actually defending him on this, by the way. This is more of a piece where I'm actually defending him because I actually think he's worth more than that. I think he's done quite a lot. And I'm actually coming out in defense of him. Like, I don't want him back. I think that time has passed. But Marcus Rashford deserves a bit more respect from Barcelona. I think he deserves more respect. So look, I've got no issue with the lad. I think what he's done, I think he's had a remarkable turnaround being away from the club. And I just hope he finds a club and he can continue. Look, hopefully he's going to go to a World Cup. And as we said last year, when he goes, the best thing that could happen is he goes to Barcelona. He has a good season. He gets back into England. His value increases and he goes to a club. And it looks like those things. So I've only got praise for him. At this point, I do only have praise for Marcus Rashford. I agree. Rashford should leave. It's a shame that a United boy gets no love in his hometown. I think he does. Faya says, hello. JB, do you think United created this monster within Rashford by offering him a fat wage contract too early? Yeah, I do. Look, Rashford never asked for it. Rashford never asked for 350k or 300k. Rashford is, look, anybody I think that played during that time under the Glazers, Marcus Rashford is a victim, as with many other players, of the regime. INEOS, well, the Glazers Woodward, Arnold were to blame. You know, again, you've got this young kid. You know, they failed him. Really, if let's be honest and have an honest conversation before we get into the meaty stuff. Like, Rashford should still be here. Rashford should still be a success. It's another failure. McTominay, you know, another failure. Marcus Rashford, another failure. Kobe Mainoo was another failure. So I think as much as Marcus Rashford has gone and I don't want him back, not because I don't, you know, not for any other reason. And I think that time has passed. So fingers crossed to him. Highbrow says, Faz, well, I won't destroy my career. I'll just take the wage cut and play to get myself an offer in Jan and go. Look, it depends on Marcus Rashford. If Marcus Rashford is prepared to take a wage cut, Omar, and I hope he is, then he may very well be that player. And hopefully Rashford is that player that will think about his career. Rashford doesn't need the money necessarily. He's going to earn the money. You know, he's rich. You know, is he going to really miss 100k? Potentially. But look, you know, I think Rashford, you know, thinking about what he's done when he's left, thinking about all of that stuff, I think he's that sort of guy who actually wants to play football. So fingers crossed. Dikembe will surely stay, Villa win. Rashford, it should be so, says Iron Fists. The way the club is run is the reason why Rashford left. Rashi's and Sancho's egos are wider than the Grand Canyon. Is Rashford going to stay at Barca? I don't think he is now. Barcelona basically valued him at 16 million quid. Forget about it. He's going to win the trophy this season. Did you guys see the free kick? I did. Absolute crazy free kick. About 16 million quid, I think it was. What is the news, JB? So let me get in. Did I get whipped earlier on Grace? I should be so lucky. Grace. No, I didn't get whipped. Sadly. No, it was just a case of the missus was going out to get the nails done, and I had to go and watch the kids. You know, the more I think about it, Amrin was a terrible choice. Yeah, and we're going to get onto that as well. We're going to get onto that when Rashford comes back. Do you think he'll play? Techie, no, I don't think he'll play. I don't think he's coming back like that. I think he's going to come back from Barcelona. Then I think he's going to go. We lost Rashford, almost Kobe, exactly. To what we're saying, Holland was a failure. I don't know. He was on loan at Barca. Yes, he was. Mason failed himself. Holland wasn't a failure of the team. The whole failure, Amron changed that. Grace says McTominay wasn't a failure. He's a number 10, second striker, playing at defensive midfielder. He was never allowed to get ahead of Bruno Fernandes. And Grace is right. I think you're spot on, Grace. City, says Angel, of course. Still 1-1 in the Southampton match tonight. 60 million cheapskate. Exactly. Take to Stegen for free. Not for me. We have been spared Millwall next season. World War III would have broken out. So look, let's get on to the main piece. Temeskin says, please, Jason Wilcox and INEOS make play for Valverde, Tonali, Matthias, Lewis Hall, Diamonde, Matthias Fernandes, Lewis Hall, Van der Ven for next season. Why can't the kids take care of themselves? Hi, says Jumbo, because one of them's 6. The 2 big ones went as well, but the one who's 6 is it's just a little bit too small. Josh says, hi JB, hello Josh, hope you're doing extremely well. What's the role of Mason Mount? His role is to keep the hospital bed warm for Luke Shaw. So let's get on to the meat of this. And I'm going to start off and say this. I told you, I've been telling this community, not just this one, I've been telling flipping YouTube for the last 2 months. 2 months ago, I got told that Michael Carrick is going to get the job at this club. I was told this person is adamant. The same person has told me many, many things and been 100% right, 80% right. They've been fantastic and all of this stuff. Even when other people were talking about Fabrizio, Ornstein, the mouthpieces of this club were talking about, are we going to interview this manager? Are we going to do that? Are we going to do this? All a load of nonsense. Now, Chris Wheeler, Nathan Salt has had this to say tonight, and I will say this, and this club has lied. This club has got no intention, has never had any intention of interviewing anybody. It pretends, it lies, it spins. They've not interviewed anybody. Absolutely just lied. We were also told two months ago on Up TV, wasn't sure if it was true or not. Look, I got told I got told, what are we now, February time, that Michael Carrick is going to get this job, and the reason for that is because he's cheap. It's because it is cheap. Now, I'll tell you what has been said. So look, this is coming from Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt. Iraola is now out of the running to become the manager. United are not even going to interview him. They're not even going to give him a shot. They're not even going to talk to him. They're not even going to give him the time of day. As Carrick gets closer to becoming the coach, although United are insistent that a decision hasn't been made, all roads lead to Carrick, and it will be announced soon. Said this as well. No shit. This club has been spinning everybody for weeks and for months. They even said it themselves. Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein they've taken a big pile of Glazer poo, been given it and been shoveling it around, spoon feeding it out there to everybody. How United were going to take their time, that we were going to wait until the back end of the World Cup to appoint a coach. How United were talking. I've spoken to Enrique and Nagelsmann. They are looking to do these deals now. They're going to take their time. They're gonna go for the best in class. Absolute nonsense. They were never doing that. It was always Michael Carrick. It was just so happened that Michael Carrick is falling into their laps. Wilcox is a waste of space. INEOS is a waste of absolute space. Now look, Josh has said that I can't help but feel Iraola would be swallowed. I'm not sure if he could handle the pressure. And Josh, I think you're right. It's going to happen to Michael Carrick. Carrick is not going to be able to deal with this job. There is nobody, going to have to imagine going into work every day and Jason Wilcox is your boss. Imagine somebody trying to tell you what to do when Michael Carrick, probably from a playing perspective, and I know it doesn't translate into necessarily being a coach, but being told what to do and being told, because we all know his arrogance. Wilcox is the reason why Amorim was sacked, whether people like him or not. Let's take that away, because he spoke out against the egotistical prat that is the pompous Wilcox. He believes he is a frustrated coach behind the scenes. The guy is he's so wet and so spineless that when Amorim got sacked, now people in Wilcox's position, this is not something that they do. But Wilcox decided, or the club decided, to sack him. And then instead of fronting up and doing the interview himself for the next game, he put Fletcher in the firing line. Wilcox is a coward. Wilcox is a wet fish. Wilcox has an ego and nothing to back it up with. So we're going to trust him to run a recruitment or not run. We're going and the number one player as well, by the way, who is coming out as being the player that is going to be in the tier one, is scary as well. So we're going to trust him. And Sir Jim, we're talking about the local lad, the guy that loves this club, who has only the best for this club, who said that Amorim wasn't going to be sacked. You know, he said, "Oh, at the end of the day, Champers, we need to give our man three years. Oh, the media comes after our guys. We're going to give him 3 years." Within what, less than a year of that, he was sacked. Again, Wilcox are responsible for hiring him. Whether or not Amorim was the right guy, it was a failure on him. He clearly hired the wrong guy. Thought that he could bring in a coach who played a back three, not give him players. Failure. Sacked him for speaking out. And now the plan for this rebuild, the plan for this club to get back to the top again, is to hire Michael Carrick. Now, look, I know Michael Carrick, and I'm not necessarily talking about Carrick at this second in time. I'm talking about the incompetence. Let's take Carrick out of this. I'm talking about the incompetence of the process. I'm talking about David Ornstein. I'm talking about Fabrizio. I'm talking about all these players, people who go on the biggest channels talking about, you know, how United were going to do this recruitment. They're going to do this recruitment. Bollocks, are they? They've never had any intention of interviewing anybody. They're not going to. They haven't. They've stopped. So what was this lie and this spin for the last God knows how long about how they were going to do the best in class recruitment? They were going to go and they were going to create lists. This is what Ornstein said. This is what Fabrizio, so Jacobs said it as well. So Ben, what you know, he's all over TalkSport. Anyone that will hear him was talking about United, the process. Well, it's bollocks, isn't it, Ben? It's bollocks. Ben, it's bollocks. Ornstein's bollocks. Fabrizio, bollocks. They've never done it ever. Also, what was then gone on to say is United. So this is for me whereby you know that this is true, that the bosses have held off giving Carrick the job to allay any fears and concerns about Carrick only being the boss of one club before. So Middlesbrough. And they were scared of repeating history. So basically, they were scared of Ollie again. But they've been impressed that Michael Carrick, you know, what he's done at the club. So basically, the bosses have been scared. They've held off. So, and again, this backs up the lie. United, the bosses have held off giving him the jobs, which means that they wanted to give him the job. They've held off giving him the job because they were scared. Because they were scared about the backlash. It tells you everything that you need to know. That they were scared. They're fearful. And this is why they did the spin. This is why they said, you know, it was a choice between Enrique. This is why Ornstein and all the other prats were talking about how it was a choice between Carrick, Nagelsmann, because that's what they were trying to do. They're trying to create a list, whittle it down to Michael Carrick, and they've never interviewed another manager. So they're fucking liars. They just lie and spin about every single thing that they do because they're so scared. Now look, I am not saying Carrick in or out at this point. I'm talking about the process. I'm talking about the lies again. And does this fill you confidence? Does this fill you with the confidence that they've been caught out lying yet again about players? We'll talk about the Valverde stuff. I mean, that's not going to happen, is it? The Tchouaméni, the Valverde, the Carlos Baleba stuff, and he's probably going to be the tier one, and that is what's coming out as well. By the way, that they're looking to push that deal. That's going to be around 65 to 70 million. That is the tier one cash. That is the cash for the tier one. So if we go and get him, and look, that I like Baleba, I do, but he's not the one to build around. He's not the one to replace a Casemiro. And Casemiro this season has shown, when you get your midfielder who is elite, whether or not his legs have gone, he is elite. And you've got to replace him with an elite person. And let's get through some more of your chats. I can't help but feel like, yeah, we've done that one. Herbie says, legend, this club has no balls. They should be pulling out all the stops for an experienced coach. Carrick is going to be eaten alive next season if he can't cope, and rightfully so for accepting the job. Well, exactly. 6 months, that wasn't, I forgot about that interview. Exactly. Carrick should take over. Millwall, says Tai. How true is the Valverde? So look, we will come back to that, because I think there's more stuff to talk on that as well, because it is a ridiculousness. So Valverde, there's another story being put out there today about him. Now look, as we all know, the Tchouaméni, the Valverde fight, apparently he's fallen out with the players, the club. Look, it's not going to happen. He is their captain. Madrid don't sell players in their prime. They just don't do it. He is their captain. He is their best player. He's going to cost you 100 million over that. 28. Now, the rhetoric coming out of the club is they're going to be looking at players between 18 to 26. Valverde is 28. Look, I'm against the age. If the money was there, yes. Obviously, there are a couple of flags around it. Is, do you want another player that's going to cause an issue? Do you want another player that's got an ego? He is a fabulous player. He is an absolute fantastic player. And if you've got a good coach who can handle the egos, then of course. But this club is not the right place for him, and is going to cost too much money. His wages are going to be high, and we don't have the money. We don't have the money. So look, I'm going to put a pin in it now and just call it utter crap. If it happens, I will be probably beyond surprised. It's not going to happen. I think it's just a nothing story. I think it's spin. I think this club are looking to spin you. So then when they go, Michael Carrick is here, it's going to be, he's coming in. We're going to go get, a Valverde. We were going to get this and that. That's what it is. It is just complete spin. What do you think about Carrick this season? Adav says, hi. Who would you buy for the midfield? Some fantastic questions. I think Carrick has done a phenomenal job this season. My issue with him is I think he's tactically inept. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's elite. I just don't think he is the right man. I just don't think his personality is right. He is Southgate Mark II. Look, I'm happy to be proved wrong. The football has been awful. And I think we need an experienced coach. But I like Michael Carrick. When he gets the job, I've said this for weeks and weeks and weeks, I will support the manager because he's going to need it. I'll support the manager because he's one of our ex-players. He's one of our players. So I will support him. But this club cannot do a halfway house stuff. They can't give him a year's contract. They've got to back him. They've got to back him as a proper coach. If you're going to back Michael Carrick, give him a 3-year contract. You know, that is what you've got to do. Don't be a coward. We all know Wilcox is a wet fish. We all know he's just a coward. You've got to give him a 3-year deal, because if it fails, mate, you're getting the sack. So what it's got to be is, he is your coach. He's going to be what you've picked. So Wilcox, if Carrick fails after 6 months, 6 weeks, you've got to go as well. You can't give him a year. You can't give him half of a budget. If you think that Michael Carrick is your guy, whatever you would go and give Enrique. Look, I'm not saying that I agree with this, but this club can't be a coward. Whatever your budget you were going to give to Enrique, whatever budget, you've got to give it to him. And if we fail again, then these prats have to be sacked. They have to be fired. And Adav, you're right. The Glazers out. INEOS out. Jason Wilcox out. Omar out. All of these idiots out. But they're not going to be out. So look, they have got to get this right. They have got to get this right. But we do need an experienced coach. As Gon says, I swear he's a 10. Who would I buy for the midfield? I think we need experience. I think we need a mixture of experience. I would go for a Ameni, Tonali, possibly as well, either or. And then I would then look at probably a Matthias Fernandez. I'd probably look at a Stiller, a Wharton. You know, I'd be looking at those types of players. I think we're going to go Baleba. I think we're going to go Edison, Carlos B, and I think we're probably going to go for those two, and then we're going to go for another one if we can afford it. I think we're going to go cheap this window. So a little look what we're saying. The performances have declined. Can't wait to finish 8th next season. 16th in the Champions League. Wow, at least we got it for 1 year, though. We are not ready. And gone. We're not ready. We're not ready. We are not ready. It is a fact. We're not. Watch the guys get knocked out of the Champions League phase. Dino is in the house. Dino is a ledge. Anthony says, if you could have a current coach for United, who would you have? Look, if I was to pick anybody, it's such a difficult thing, right? If you're asking me, who would I pick for this current side, knowing the budget that we've got, knowing the owners that we've got, it would have to be an Emery or an Eddie Howe. If you're asking me who would I pick if money was no object, if we had better owners, it would be Enrique. I think when we have the conversation about the manager, it's got to be, where are we at? Enrique wouldn't work at this club. Unless you give him £500 million, he doesn't have to answer to that spineless prat, then he would be able to turn this club around. There's nobody in the footballing world that's going to be able to turn this club. And look, people will say Carrick has got us third. This season has been an abysmal, horrible Premier League season. If we get, as the reports are suggesting, Baleba, Edison for the midfield, then we are effed. We are absolutely effed. What about the defending? Look, our defence is... Luke Shaw will get absolutely crucified next season. Can you imagine next season? Okay, let's go for a scenario next season. Imagine we play Barcelona. Marcus Rashford is playing on the left, changes over to the right. He will destroy Dalot. He will destroy a Luke Shaw. And that's even before we've got to Elise, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia. That's before we've even got to those sorts of players. So our defence next season, we are going to probably put a sticking plaster on it. Instead of getting rid of players that I think we should probably, now it is their time. Like, I love him, but I think the Butcher probably got to go. Matthias, he can't go because he's injured. Maguire, like, I don't mind him staying at the club, but he can't be the first choice playing in a back four. He's been absolutely awful. So that leaves us with Heaven, which I think Heaven is a fantastic player. I think it's disgusting that he lost his place. So Yoro as well, who I don't think is ready, and I think he needs some assistance. So if we can go and get a Senesi on a free, that could help. But I'm petrified. I'm petrified of our defence. Steeler is good, but like, he's weak as F. We'll just get bodied. How high in the list is the Premier League proven? Look, I think we need Premier League proven spine. And what I mean is the midfield, the Premier League. Look, the reason why I think, Josh, there is something in it, because we've got Arsenal in the final of the Champions League. We've got Aston Villa in the final of the Europa League. We've got Crystal Palace in the final of the Conference League. Premier League proven is a thing, but we've got to mix it up. The problem is, Josh, the reason why we need Prem proven players is because we ain't got any. It's because we need those players now before we can even bring in outsiders. So I think it's important for us to build a good spine, but around that, you know, we need to start to bring in these. And look, we used to do it all of the time. You know, you bring in your Javier Hernandez, you bring in your Kanchelskis, you bring in your Blomqvists, you bring in your Jap Stam. You know, you bring in those sorts of players, your Everers, your Vidiches, your Cristianos. You know, you bring in those sorts of players, but only when you've got an elite set of core of good Premier League players. We don't have that. Would you pick to buy a new striker or keep Šeško? Luke, I think we keep Šeško, and I think we need another striker. I think we need a more experienced striker, or at least another striker to either help Šeško or to push him. Dino says, JB, if you have time tomorrow, I will be live from an open workout for Look, mate, I'd love to, buddy. So Dino has got a live from the open workout from Dave Allen. If you fancy, look, Dino, send me the stuff, mate. If I've got time, I will happily. Yes, mate. Yes. So Truffett, he's good. He is young. I like him as well. I do. Rico says, my friend, I'm not a United fan, but I'm happy you are doing good. So do you think the board should sack Amrin? Look, Rocco, thank you, my friend. It's not a case of sacking Michael Carrick. I don't want him sacked. It's not about sacking Michael Carrick. I think Carrick has done more than I could ever anticipate. This is not on him. The sad thing is now is when he gets given the job, he's going to be judged, isn't he? You know, is he going to be more fodder for? Is he going to be more trash for the Glazers to chuck out? Is he going to be another fall guy for INEOS? Now, how long, Rocco, do INEOS wait? Wilcox wait until the results get so bad again? How long does this fan base give a manager? You know, how long will they give him? You know, and if the football is what we have seen, how long will they give Michael Carrick? And you know, is it going to be a slow decline again? You know, are we going to be able to finish third again? You know, only time can tell with the signings. But if they don't get him the signings, it's going to be a slow decline into God knows what. Rock says, Luke White says, do you approve of Cunha and Mbeumo on the right and left? No, look, Luke, I'll probably get hammered for this opinion. All right. But my opinion on those two players are, when we were 15th, we needed players to get us up to another level, right? Matthias Cunha and Mbeumo are those players that you want to get to the next level. But then there's another level that you want to get to. You want to get to winning the Premier League. You want to get to winning the Champions League. You want to get to the Champions League, right? The finals. Matthias Cunha and Mbeumo are excellent squad players. They are not the players, in my view, that you would go and sign to win a Premier League. Doesn't mean that I don't think they're fantastic players. Doesn't mean, when I say a squad player, I don't mean they're shitty squad players. Those are the perfect players that push your top. They are the ones that push the top players because they're top players. Those are the players that you want in your squad. You want a squad full of those types of players who are capable of, on their day, doing the world-class things. But the question is, would Man City go and get a Cunha? No. Would Bayern Munich go and get an Mbeumo? No. So what I'm saying is, I think they're fantastic players. I like them. But if we're going to be elite, you have those two as bench options. And when I say that again, they're not because they're bad players. But if you want to be elite, you need to move on, because Cunha, it doesn't mean to say that Cunha is not a fantastic player. It doesn't mean to say I don't like Cunha. It doesn't mean to say that he can't be part of a title-winning side. You need many types of players. For me, I like them, but they are limited players. They are that's my view. And I'm sure I'll get destroyed for that. I agree, because since Carrick has come in, he's has been the team who made the most points. They already did the same mistake of sacking the coach because they thought he wasn't good and they were in shambles. What about John-Paul Van Heckel? I don't mind him from Brighton. I think he's still quite young, isn't he? I like Van Heck. I do. Can you list your best all-time 11? Yeah, I can. Easy. Okay, so I'd go in goal, Schmeichel, Dennis Irwin, Schmeichel, Irwin, Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Neville, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Rooney, Cristiano. Am I missing one? Giggsy, Scholes, Beckham, Giggsy, Rooney, Cristiano, Mark Hughes. I think that's 11, isn't it? I think. James Garner. Look, again, I like James Garner. I do, but we sold him for 13.5 million. They're going to want 40 million. They're going to want 45 to 50 million. No. I can't. I can't do it. Osimhen, yeah, I do like Osimhen. 100% agree. Great place using the squad. As can change games. Stam and Rio. Look, I love Jap Stam. Doesn't mean my best 11 are the best players. I'm talking about my best players. Doesn't mean to say that they are the best players. Jap Stam was better. Rio was better, Tom. Yes, but they're personal to me. So my best players are not necessarily the best players. I think when you talk about your best players, my best 11 is, I watched us win the very first league. And Steve Bruce was part of that. Pallister was part of that. So, I pick different players because I'm of a different era. Doesn't mean to say that Jap Stam wasn't a better player, because he was. He was phenomenal. Rio was an amazing player as well, but when I think about when I was a kid and I think about the players that got me into the game, those are the players that I think about. Murillo for Crystal Palace, I like him as well. I do. Harry says rude. What's your opinion on City team against yours? Well, we beat City. We beat City. City have got a better team, but on paper there is no comparison. There is no comparison on paper. There is no comparison. There is no comparison. You know, you've got probably like for like better players. But we did beat Man City. So, you know, look, sometimes it doesn't really matter about the squad. But on paper, United are targeting Arejo. I saw that. Arejo would probably cost ridiculous sums of money. I don't think we go for him. I like him from Barcelona. I do. Gyökeres better than Šeško overall, says Zimmerman. Šeško's Gyökeres has played more games. Gyökeres is, I can only judge Šeško on what he's played. Goals to game, I think Šeško's better in the Premier League. But it's difficult. It's difficult to judge. I think Šeško at Arsenal would be better. I think Šeško's got a higher ceiling. I think this season, based on the fact that Arsenal have got to the Champions League final, based that they're going to win a league, I would be stupid to try to argue Šeško is a better player this season than a Gyökeres. I'm not that dumb, right? Do I think overall Šeško's got a high ceiling? Yes, I do. My answer to that would be 100% yes. But Gyökeres, I think he's had an okay season. I think he works hard. I think Šeško works hard as well. But I think if you're asking me the question, I think he's had a better I think he's had a better season. But I think Šeško's got the high ceiling, and when they get to that age, I think he'll be a better player. Who would be the worst team? Oh, Simon. Who would I be? Who do I think is the worst team? I think in goal would be probably Tayebi. Bloody hell. Just trying to think. So Butner, he would be in there. Centre back wise, I'd have to think about that. So Jemba would be in there. I think Veron would probably be in there as well. Bloody hell, Christ. I'd have to think about that, but that is a damn good question. I mean, up front you've got to, Sancho would be in there. Sanchez, I think he'd be in there as well. I think Weghorst would probably be in there. Falcao would have to be in there. Kleberson would probably have to be in there as well. Defensively, who's bad defensively that we've had? I mean, we've had some shockers. So Prunier is going to have to be in there as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't, but that is a fantastic question. Gyökeres is not better than Šeško. Look, Tom, I'm going to say this. This season is difficult to judge because Šeško has had less games, but I think Šeško is going to be the better striker. Am I late, says Mike. Šeško is better, says Scott. Yes, exactly. Tayebi in goal. These Arsenal fans are delusional. What about who does he play for? Overrated and should not be compared to Haaland. Sorry, United, you're not going to get Skelly. I don't think so. Van der Beek. Yeah, I think he was quite bad. Defensively, I'm just trying to think who else was bad from a defensive perspective. So Butner was terrible. Harry Wilson, he was all right. He just played. He played. He didn't play much, did he? I'm just trying to think of defenders. Phil Jones. I like Phil Jones. I mean, he was all right. I mean, I liked Phil Jones. I mean, he wasn't, he never set the world on fire, but he was all right. He was all right with Phil Jones. Rojo, yes, I think you have to definitely put him in there as well. I think Schneiderlin as well. I think was quite bad. So Bebe as well. Yeah, he was awful. What about Dong Fang Zhu? He was quite bad as well. Who is it? So Bailly, was it him? No. Who was that defender? A few years back, Kevin. His nickname was the Spider-Man or something. So Jemba Jemba. We said Jemba Jemba. You're talking about old what's his chops? Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka was called Spider Legs, I think. So Darmian, was he that bad? I mean, I go back. I mean, was he that bad? Just trying to think now. Yeah, we could talk about this for hours. So look, what is so let's get on to the tier. Scott says so Dallo should be there. Don't let Grace hear you mention that. So the last thing I wanted to talk about really before I go was the tier 1. So Baleba has been mentioned as the tier 1. We were talking about Tonali. Look, we have agreed terms. Kieran says, evening, JB. I hope you're well. Yes, Kieran, I'm doing well, and hope you are as well. So Tonali was mentioned this afternoon. Just looked at, as a list of worst managers, and Amrin. I think that's harsh. I think that's harsh, Simon. And I'm not saying that that's you, but look, people are going to be obvious, aren't they? But so we're talking about Tonali. The terms have been agreed. Look, we've agreed terms with Tonali. We've agreed terms with Anderson. That is what you do. Jose back to Real Madrid. Yes, Scott. I've seen that, and I think he will go back as well. I don't know if he's gone back officially tonight, but yes, he'll go back. Baleba. It looks like Baleba is going to be the one. We've said this on this channel as well. Baleba is the one they're pushing at. Mark says, Leeds fan, here you had a pretty good season, but Leeds are staying. We'll give you a beating at Old Trafford. Enjoy that, scum. Look, Mark, legend, my friend. We don't mind the banter on this channel, my friend. Always good to have fans on this channel from other clubs as well. Doesn't matter if you're a Leeds fan. I think Leeds have done extremely well this season to avoid the drop. So I look forward to playing Leeds again next season. So look, I'm pleased for Leeds to stay up, and long may it continue, because I think that the more games like that for the Premier League are good. Love the channel. Look, thank you, Tom. Absolute mate, Tom. Thank you, my friend. So Baleba, where are we? That I like Carlos Baleba, and I know there's this rhetoric that goes against him, right? And I will say this, right? I'll say this, that as he had the best of seasons, no, he hasn't had the best of seasons, right? His defensive stats are elite, but he's not a progressive carrier of the ball. He's not an elite defender. He's not a playmaker from deep. He is an experiment. He's very raw. He's got attributes where he could be He could be an elite player. But we cannot have that as our tier one. We've got to have an elite player in there. But the reports are coming out tonight that Baleba, it looks like he's going to be the tier one. It will be a disaster. I like the player. I've spoken about him many, many times on this channel. But if it's him as the tier one or he doesn't come, I don't want him to come because he can't be the tier one. He can't be the replacement. It can't be Carlos Baleba and Edison, Kobbie Mainoo. It can't be. It can't be those three. It can't be. It will be a disaster. And if that happens, then a certain Wilcox has to be sacked. He has to go. Says Phoenix. I like Baleba. I've liked him on this channel for quite some time. If you're telling me, Phoenix, that we're going to get a Tonali or an Anderson and him as well, then I would believe. I would, because then he'd have enough players around him that you can take the punt and say, look, we'll pay 60 million. We're paying for the potential. Baleba and too many are too similar. If we get one, I don't think. Look, I think I understand, Phoenix, your point. I don't think there is any comparison. No, I don't. I think too many is too experienced. I think he's the far superior player. Carlos B, I think he's more of a player who is an experimental player. I mean, by the way they look. Back for more debating, says Brian, legend. So I think we need Tuameni, or we need that sort of player, and a Carlos B. Phoenix. They got the similar face and hair. They do look the same-ish, I guess. But we need to get a tier one. So look, those are the reports coming out tonight that Baleba could be the tier one, and it makes perfect sense for what I've been saying for the last 3 months. We're going to do the window cheap. Edison for 40 million, Baleba for 60 to 70 million. That's 100 million, 110 million spent. Look, it's crazy. We need more than that. So look, I am hoping that the reports that have come out to coincide with the 3 tiers are we're actually going to look at buying 2, and if we've got enough cash, then we'll go and look at a 3rd. I don't know what this club is going to do. I don't know. I just don't know. Let me go through some of your chats, what you were saying. Baleba wanders forward more and might take up space with Kobbie Mainoo. I have to say, JB, you're more than fair to other club fans. Fair play with the patience of a saint. Thanks, buddy. Herbie says, Eric Bay, my senior is a Leeds supporter, and we have a good chat about footy at work. Exactly. Leeds should have beaten Spurs. Do you believe in Baleba? We've done that one. We have been chasing for him after months. There's been an end. There has to be an end to the saga. It's lasted longer than Star Wars. Back for more debating. The last thing an inexperienced coach needs is an inexperienced player. Recipe for disaster. Yes. Too many would be CDM choice 1. I'm not a fan of Tonali, says Phoenix. I've never had rivalry with a Leeds supporter, even though I'm a United fan. I've come across loads of elderly in the Leeds supporters and have a good chat about football. Kim says, JB, out of interest, your vote on the most impressive team of the season and least can include a United in the most impressive. Who do I think have been the most impressive team of the season? I think that Bournemouth, I like what they've done. Bournemouth, if you think about the players they've lost, the players that they lose, I think Iraola has done an absolute fantastic job. United have been, look, the weird thing about us this season is I've been impressed the way that we've gone from 15th to 3rd. But I do take into account the season has been crap. We are United. We still spent a load of money. We have spent billions on this team. I'm not impressed by that. Bournemouth, I think, for me, have been good. There's an argument for them. So I think Bournemouth, for me, I think have probably been the most impressive. I think the least impressive this season has to be Liverpool. And I'm not saying it because they're a rival club, and I'm not saying it because I'm being, a dickhead. I'm saying it because if you have just won a league and you go and spend, and I'm going to be fair here, if you're going to spend, 400 million, like £500 million on players, you've got to win a league again. You've got to win a league again. So for me, I think I've been impressed with the likes of Bournemouth. I've been least impressed. Liverpool would probably be up there because their title defence has been a shambles. I know the Jota thing at the start of the season was a big thing, and look, I know that was an horrific thing. So, I think there are mitigations there. Outside of that, so Chelsea as well have been horrific. Spurs as well. So I think it's probably easier to say who's least impressed me this season. Probably Liverpool. Maybe that would be. Would that be harsh considering the start of the season? Maybe. Chelsea, shambles. Spurs, sadly, shambles as well. Brian says I'm actually kind of right on that because how the midfield is playing, they need at least 3 on the side of the ball. Too many Edison and Stiller. Our targets will be aging before we get them. Our team will be called Jurassic. Too many Nemcha and Fernandez. Why don't we get our players from Bargain Hunt? Milton is in house legend. Sorry, I'm late. You're never late, buddy. You're never late. Brighton, Brentford have been playing good. Yeah, again, yeah. For me, it's a solid signing. Would be Adams. He would be less expensive than some other players, and he partnered well with Kobe Mainu stylistically. Plus, he has Champions League experience. I like Tyler Adams. I also Alex Scott as well. I wouldn't mind those sorts of players. I do like Tyler Adams. Thank you for taking the time to answer my question. Funnily enough, I picked those 2, but it's close with the least impressive teams. Could be any number of them. The Southampton match tonight is 5 minutes away from a penalty shootout. Would you have any West Ham players if they go down? Yeah, I think so Bowen would be an interesting one. I know Bowen is pushing 30, 31. I would like that sort of signing at a good price. I think that would make a lot of sense for a squad player. Fernandez, I like Matthias Fernandez. Somerville's an interesting one as well. I think Somerville is an interesting player. Juff, I think, is an interesting because he's still 21, but I think Somerville and Fernandez would probably be the 2. Brian says probably one of the greatest achievements for United is going from 15th to 3rd. The way how Carrick has saved this environment, it's impressive. Now, Brian, I'm going to slightly disagree on that one only because it wasn't down for Michael Carrick. Carrick didn't take us from 15th to 3rd. Amrin had a hand in that as well. Look, Carrick has done a fantastic job. I think. Look, you can argue as an achievement, finishing 3rd. This is where for me, when I hear things like that. Not your opinion, Brian, because I think, fine, as an opinion, the fact that we're saying that one of our achievements of all time is finishing third. I mean, it just goes to tell you everything we are as a club. And look, Brian, I'm not saying your opinion is wrong. I think it's a valid opinion, but it saddens me to hear that people are now going to have that as an achievement. The finishing third, a bit from 15th is an achievement. That's the sort of thing that a Burnley fan could say. That's the sort of thing that a Swansea fan would be happy with. The fact that we were 15th and we finished third, just but Carrick didn't do it by himself. So it wasn't single-handedly down to Michael Carrick. See what we send to. But look, Brian, I think it's an interesting point. Fernandes will only leave if West Ham go down. What are your thoughts on Gabriel? Do you think he will get any minutes next season? Gabriel, so JJ, I think we've got to be careful with him. I don't want us to get carried away. He's still going to be young. He's still going to be 15, 16 next season. If he's ready, by all means, bring him into the squad. I don't want us to just throw this lad into the squad as if he's the next, big thing. I think Messi didn't even come through till he was 17, 18. So we can't be chucking in these, is he a Rooney type? I mean, there aren't many players that are that type. So I think we will see him. I think if he's as good as they think he is, then I think we'll see him maybe in the Carabao Cup, maybe in the FA Cup potentially. But I would love to see it, Tom. Kim says, last one from me. Your valuation of Rodgers, bearing in mind his form. Kieran, I think Rodgers for me, 70 million, 65 to 70 million. Aston Villa are probably going to want 80 to 90. He's not worth that for me. He is not. The problem that we've got is, when you've got Cole Palmer, you can argue that he is, Morgan Rogers is that kind of 10, you can argue that he's a sort of wide player. His age, is he anywhere near those sorts of players? I don't think he is. So for me, Rodgers, I would value him in and around 70 million, 75 at a push. But I think Villa are going to demand 80 to 100 for him. Please, no more Chelsea or Spurs players. Thoughts on Adam Wharton? I heard from other people that he is good and a really, really special player. I like Adam Wharton. I think he is. I think Adam Wharton, Liverpool. I think that's where he's going to go. I like him. I think he's a great player. I think he's a very, very underrated player by some people. I think he's the Kobe Mainoo position. I think they both occupy the same position. Could Adam Wharton be more defensive? Possibly. I see him as more of a 6'8". I think Kobe Mainoo is more of an 8, maybe an 8'10", but Kobe Mainoo is becoming a 6'8" as well. That's kind of 6'8". I don't think you have them both in the team, if I'm being honest. Now, you can tell me here that I'm wrong, but Adam Wharton, I do like Adam Wharton a lot. I don't know what Carrick has, but if we can put it in a bottle, we can make a fortune out of it. How far the mighty have fallen. Southampton are 2-1 up. Southampton are winning. Southampton are beating Carrick's former team. Going for Carrick shows we're not acting like a big club. Would Madrid? No, Ryan, it's not something that they would do. Look, it was always Michael Carrick. So Jossa says, hi, hello. We have more chance of getting Roy Rogers or Buck Rogers, says Simon. Look, this club has lied to us. They have lied to us. We were never interviewing anybody else. Michael Carrick was always going to be the guy. He says, I agree, he has such potential, but the drop-off has been incredibly disappointing. Anyway, mate, good night. Thank you, Kieran. Who do you think missed? Who do you think will miss out for England this summer? I think Luke Shaw is going to miss out. I think Harry Maguire might as well. I think he's going to get injured. It looks like he's carrying a knock. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not close to the England team. I'm not English, so I'm not as close as I probably should be. Bellingham's going to go, isn't he? Is Cole Palmer definitely going to go? I don't know. Rodgers, I don't know. I think Anderson will definitely go. I think Bellingham goes. I mean, look, they're so stacked. They're so stacked in that position. Does Lewis Skelly now go? You've got Saka is in there as well. Harry Kane is in there. Rodgers, Cole Palmer. Those sorts of players. I don't know. I'd have to see the squad. I would have to see the squad. I will take a look at the squad. But I mean, England are stacked, aren't they? United is the best team in the Premier League this year. Since January, glory to United, it says Mustafa. And yes, so look, guys, I am going to go. Look, another fantastic show. Look, you guys are legends again. I wasn't going to be here tonight, but I'm glad that I did, and thank you so much for being here. You guys are legends of the chat. I will be back tomorrow as well. I'm not sure what time. My work this week is going to be, well, my work for the next 2 weeks is going to be mad. So my stream's going to be up and down because I've got a proper job as well. So yeah, that's going to probably take over now for a little while. So I'll stream when I can. But look, guys, thank you. What do I think of Vucevic? Okay, I guess. But look, I will be back tomorrow. Chat, you're disgrace. The jokes are appalling. Yeah. So look, I will be back tomorrow. You guys are legends. Thank you. The OS, I've got to do the proper job. I've got to do the proper job. The greatest streamers ever, best one around. Tomorrow is the 13th. Hope nobody's superstitious. No, I'm going to sub. Thank you. Yeah, look, guys, if you could give us a like, a sub, it really does help the channel out. It means I can quit my job soon as I possibly can. But no, look, guys, you guys are legends. Thank you for the support as always, as you do. Look, mate, Scott, I wish it was, buddy. Wish it was, mate. I've got another job that, it's just the means to an end. Look, we're pushing on to 50,000 subs now. We are pushing. One day, hopefully, we will. Gid says, can we talk collabs? Of course, we can always talk collabs, Gid. Always, I will collab. Has to be the right collab, but yeah, we can talk collabs. But look, you guys are legends. Absolute legend. Sarban says, I am retired. Thanks, mate. No, but yeah, it's always. So look, thank you as always for the support. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm JB. This is the United Devil channel, and I'll see you legends tomorrow.